Another day, another victory for the OG, taking down the Sweats.
Hey guys, welcome back to SoBack Sports, and today I will be recapping the huge Bears victory against the Detroit Lions. So going into this game, the Bears were 3.5 underdogs and came out with a very methodical victory against a team that is essentially going to the playoffs and should be making noise in the playoffs given the current state of the team. However, Detroit does pose some issues when it comes to their defense, and in this game it clearly showed their lack of execution and moreover the Bears' ability to win games methodically. And I gotta give props to Matt Eberflus for coming up with a game plan. And according to the stats, Justin Fields with the 200 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, and the leading rusher for this team, Jared Goff with 2 crucial picks and a touchdown with 161 yards, and then DJ Moore with both a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown, which, to be honest, is like really good. I'm just surprised that they didn't really use him besides that rushing touchdown in the first half. I didn't understand why Getsy wasn't calling plays for him, and he only really got targets in the second half. But more on that later. Jahmyr Gibbs with a solid game and performance with 1 touchdown, 66 yards, and with 11 carries. Josh Reynolds with a single receiving touchdown. Overall, I would say that the Bears, relatively offensively, were cooking. Madarna Mooney, as you can see here, having crucial carries during this game and catches as well. Justin throughout the game kind of wasn't necessarily great in the first half, but he did make some execution when it comes to crucial downs and crucial passes. He did miss a couple, and looking at the team stats, you can clearly see how one-sided this was. However, this wasn't like this throughout the game. Watching it, overall, the Bears relatively dominated throughout the most of the team stats in terms of third down efficiency. It wasn't necessarily great, but they were able to convert one of the 2 fourth downs. One of them we'll probably mention down the line, and was the biggest play of the game. In terms of sacks were very big. However, it wasn't completely a factor in terms of this game. Justin did take 3 big hits, and it seemed like it was fostering a shoulder injury, but it seems like he was able to play through it and didn't really seem to lose stride in that sense. And then in terms of the Detroit Lions side, turnovers were a huge factor in this game, and Jared Goff did not help with that in whatsoever. This team, the Detroit Lions, were trying to find their stride throughout the game. Amon-Ra was held in check relatively throughout the game, and this defense, however, really stepped up in a very, very crucial way. Not only with Jalen Johnson, but with the D-line as well, with Montez Sweat and Javon Dexter getting his first sack of the game. So some key notes for the game. It was essentially a tale of 2 halves, where the first half necessarily didn't have any creative plays aside from the first drive with run play using DJ Moore with Justin Fields on the outside, and fake pass essentially. However, one thing that really did puzzle me was the fact that Luke Getsy moved away from the run game. I feel like if he used the run game with D'Onta Foreman trying to essentially bulldoze the line and get yards after the carry, whether it was for receiving or even passing, it did show that they could have made some noise when it comes to their offense moving the chains, utilizing the run game. One other key factor is that Fields was taking a lot of unnecessary hits, and a lot of the times the announcers would point out how he was not making anticipatory throws in crucial moments, and I did find that really crucial and important for him in terms of his development as a passer. That did cost a lot of open opportunities for this team to make big plays down the stretch. And while he did miss a lot of like easy throws, he did make it up with some very, very important throws down the stretch. Finding open targets in Darnell Mooney, finding Komet making extremely great plays down the line. Overall, pretty solid game. And then, however, with all these adjustments needed to be made, I was initially, when watching this game, like, oh no, this is going to be all over again, where Getsy doesn't make any adjustments, the offense staggers, and we don't target DJ Moore. However, in the second half, there was a huge shift when it came to Justin Fields and targeting DJ Moore a lot during this second half. And there were some adjustments in terms of being heavy in terms of passing. But one thing that did stand out from this game compared to the game prior in a couple weeks ago against the same team on the Lions is that Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy did not step off the gas. And what I mean by that is they did not play to not lose and instead played to win this game. And I feel like that's what really will help this team learn how to close out games down the line. And they really did do that in this game. And it really shows how they've learned from what they did in the past Lions game and what ended up costing them a crucial game that could essentially add to their playoff implications. And moving on to that 4th and 13 play call, this was definitely the biggest play call in the game, and it kind of set the tone for what I was saying about Justin Fields. And as you can see right here, so literally it's very Aaron Rodgers-esque. And the thing is how I say that is that Aaron Rodgers used to abuse this hard count cadence and essentially would get the D-line offsides, and in this case Aiden Hutchinson gets offsides, and that gives essentially the Justin Fields a free play, targets DJ Moore, and that's all she wrote. And that led to this block punt, but we're not going to talk about that. And yes, this definitely was one of the biggest plays of Justin Fields' career because it shows the development, the insight in terms of audibling, being able to be proactive as a passer, recognizing the defensive scheming. And this is crucial when it comes to the development. And honestly, 4th and 13 in the third quarter is a very, very gutsy play call by Eberflus, and that just shows the mindset of this team going forward. And I got to give some props to the defense today because that defense really, really shut down the whatever the Lions were trying to cook up with Ben Johnson. I felt like Ben Johnson as their OC wasn't really necessarily putting any creative plays down the stretch, and it kind of showed because of how dominant the D-line was and getting into Jared Goff's grill and being able to kind of make him uncomfortable as possible and causing multiple 3-and-outs and even 4th down stops and turnover on downs. And we couldn't have asked a better defensive performance from this defense led by Montez Sweat. And the secondary with Jalen Johnson, Jaquan Brisker having one of the most historical performances from a safety in a really long time. Since the 1950s, he had 17 total tackles, and that is crazy for a DB. And we couldn't have asked for a better performance from him. And overall, I couldn't be more happier seeing how dominant this defense was. It really reminded me of how back in 2018 with Khalil Mack and this whole defense was one of the best defenses in the NFL and essentially carried us to the playoffs with the 12-4 record. And this really does give us some insight into what this team can potentially do and make noise in terms of the defensive side of the ball. It maintained tempo, made crucial fourth down stops, and honestly, this Montez Sweat trade is proving to be worth every single bit of that second round pick we gave up. And the money is completely worth it. For it allowed Eberflus to revitalize this defense, revitalize this D line, and shows that if we add more pieces, we can do a lot going forward, and essentially develop the pieces that we were able to draft as well. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But in terms of the passing chart, according to this, the next gen stats show, like, compared to the last game where it was a screen pass fiesta, there's a lot of variability when it came to the completions from Justin Fields, able to complete 19 of his passes for 223 yards, and overall was very spread out. There were a couple in the middle passes and a lot of sideline passes, very few passes below the line of scrimmage, which is very, very good. And I'm glad Getsy very much minimalized the screen passes, because that was really hard to watch in the last game. And overall implications is that we're in the hunt. Fields is really progressing, and the team is learning to close out games, and developing the passing game is very important. Now that's it for this recap video. I'll be doing these recap videos after every Bears game for the rest of the season. Thank you for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and see you in the next one.